Hi guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome back to the IAE Expo. Today is RSI Day, and this could potentially be the last day of the event, or it could be the day before everything else becomes available to view once again. I'm thinking possibly the latter, so we will probably have a bit of a quick epilogue of this event after today's thing, but regardless, today we're doing the big old classical ship designer, and we're going to start with the most basic of ships in Star Citizen. So, for any and all new players or potential new players out there, this will probably be a ship that you are familiar with or have heard of. Or if you're a veteran of Star Citizen, this is a ship that you've probably owned in your time. In fact, this was one of the ships that I was bought all the way back in 2015, 14, 15, when I first started playing. I think no, it was 2014 I first got bought this by a friend, but I didn't actually start playing much of it until a little bit later because I couldn't actually run the game, which was a bit hilarious. Shows how bad my PC was. But regardless of that, this is the Aurora. And today we're going to be having a look at all of the ships related to the Aurora, then moving on to the other things. So if we make our way slightly back outwards towards the main entrance, because there are a lot of ships that have been bundled into this location, but they're all sort of finger quote starter ships, and depending on your stance, it also is the most popular of the lines. Where is the bloody navigation thing? They normally have one about, don't they? Or have they just decided that once you reach this point, you're just kind of doomed to wander and never know what the hell's going on? Well, I did have a look at the map, so I know where to go, but I just want to give you guys a reference, and no, the bastards have done it that way. Okay, well, there is obviously what we're going to do is we're going to go through this hall, talk about this ship, and basically then go into the main hall where the big ships of RSI's constellations are, the big sort of stars, and then we're going to go downstairs into the holodeck, whereupon then we will be showcasing what future awaits this place. So, starting off with, this is the Aurora MR. Unfortunately, the heads-up display isn't helping us out, but the Aurora MR. This is your most... Well, this isn't the most bare-bones basic. That would be the Aurora ES, which is somewhere around here. I'm thinking it's on the far side. I'm kind of got a grid reference. I'm utilizing Star Citizen's tool website to as in terms of lore reference, so we will probably find that's possibly the ES variant. But for any new starter in Star Citizen, this is the ship to start in with. A lot of the Aurora ships are fairly similar designed. In terms of lore, this ship is based upon the first ever ship to do sort of a quantum jump, if you will, like a quick jump from one point to the other. And RSI's Robert Star Industries was the company that basically took the form and went beyond. They're the company that were the first to sort of go into the verse and try and do some exploring. And then they were the ones who sort of made loads of money making the ships to try and go out there. And they were always the guys to try and push the limits in terms of what can be explored. And this is also one of the cheapest ships you can get. So if you want to get into Star Citizen, this is the entry-level price style ship for you to get into. So without further ado, let's have a little old look. So on two sides of the ship, you have doors, which is nice. And you can sort of get into the ship. There's like a ladder on either side. And you can, if you push it, you can put some cargo, like boxes for cargoes and all that jazz in. But it's not that great. If you go into the pilot seat as well, sadly you'll have to sort of scooch around a bit in order to get in, but when you're in, you have a very decent amount of MFDs to choose from. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're all within your visual range. Now, one of the requirements, I say requirements, but one of the things in my checklist when it comes to a ship, whether or not I like it, is whether or not the MFDs are within your initial sight range, is what I'm calling it. And what that basically means is if I have to look at an MFD to see what information there is, that's, in my opinion, not a good thing. It's not game-breaking, it's not deal-breaking, but it can be a problem if you're fairly new to a ship or fairly new to game mechanics, and you want to have as much information thrown at you as possible. So this could be considered a negative point when it comes to buying certain ships. If, for example, a lot of information requires you to look around, because then argument's sake, you might require a head tracker or some other means to be able to look around, or you're just constantly going to have to press and hold the Z button whilst looking around, whilst also trying to fly the ship. Not really good for a new player. So the fact that the Aurora has all of these MFDs available in front of the player and to be able to help them out when it comes to flying, brilliant. Another good thing about the Aurora, although there are loads of struts, there is still enough of an overall view in the verse for you to be able to fly and to see where you're going. A really good feature is the fact that you can look down and see where you're landing. Now, for a new player, this is quite important, because if you like to try and land without having to go into third person, this is a good opportunity to train for that, because it allows you to sort of look down as you're making your way through. Maybe you have a HOTAS system or a dual joystick system, so you're really enjoying this sort of thing and you're getting fairly immersed. But then if a ship doesn't have the ability for you to look down in real life, figure quote IRL, to look down into, without having to sort of hit the F4 button and then do sort of that, it's a nice feature to have. So being able to see down is very nice. Also, it kind of immerses you in the verse a little bit extra as well. So that's a pretty good feature for the Aurora. I do like the Aurora. It's got a little soft special place in my heart. Another really good feature of the Aurora is this thing. Now, this is a bed, a very primitive bed, but a bed nonetheless. And your character can sort of sleep and lie down in it and go have a snooze, and somehow is teleported to the front. Bearing in mind this is a display model, so you will find that these bugs and glitches are a little bit more prevalent in these, but that's because literally everyone is jumping in on the servers to try and check them out, whereas if you fly away from these particular areas, it's not so bad. So the bed, whenever I talk about Star Citizen, why is the bed a fairly important feature for me? Well, because what that means is you can access, if you go into a bed and you can fall asleep in it, you will be able to log out and log back in wherever and wherever. Literally, if you go to, you're flying around to the verse, it's quite late at night for you, and you need to go to bed. You find a planet or area to to stop, put your ship into a position, go to the bed inside your ship, log out. When you come back, you'll be right back at that location with your ship and being able to fly off and do your own thing. So it's a good idea to do so. It's also a good idea not to park it in a dangerous spot. So mixed bag on that one, but still a good feature nonetheless. And with the Aurora series, you've got a whole buttload of different Auroras, which I will be referencing in a large sort of series string. So you'll occasionally hear the audio clip in and out. It's because I'm referencing all of these particular variants. So this variant of the Aurora, which is the LX, is the limited edition luxury edition. So luxury, ooh, we can have a little old look-see internally, and yep, it looks kind of snazzy. The struts look a little bit more pronounced, and I think that is an automatic chair I see. Let me have a look-see. I'm curious. This looks like an automatic edition. I don't think I've ever been in an Aurora LS edition. And nope, doesn't look like it. So I'm not entirely sure. Oh yeah, I can see the joypads look very snazzy. And the struts look a little cleaner. They look a little bit more fancy. But again, Luxury Edition is a bit of a push. But yeah, nothing too majorly different, I'll be honest with you. But hey-ho. Oh, there. Upgraded interior and high-performance components. So it's more just a... I wouldn't say... Well, it probably is upgraded in terms of performance. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's super upgraded with internals, but it's probably... but the internal components, that makes it go boom boom. Yeah, that's probably where its main selling point is. So... that is the Luxury Edition. So this edition, the MR, is the mid-range edition. This is the one available at the entry-level price for Star Citizen, but it's the sort of the mid-ranger. For this one is the Aurora LN, which is the more dedicated combat ship, and you can tell because it's got a bunch of size 1 missiles and size 1 laser repeaters. I believe these are the Panther ones, so they're not too bad. Still the same kind of interior, pretty much everything else is the same, but it has the internal components to withstand it and can do stuff. There's also another feature which is nice, is they've got some lasers on the wingtips as well. The Aurora MR has the ability to mount these features by little things over there, as you can see, but it doesn't come with that, so you need to upgrade and choose that. Plus, you probably need to have components to sustain those parts, but hey-ho, military stuff is an option, and it is an upgradable factor when it comes to these ships, so not too bad. Yeah, don't worry, we'll be talking about the Mantis in a minute, so hold your horses. We're just going to have to go by it, is all. So, the other variants of the ship, which I am kind of wondering if I've already seen it before. I'm kind of referencing the colors. It's pretty much trying to tell what the... So this one is the Aurora CL with a cargo focus variant of this ship, which trades the power for increased cargo capacity. Now, I'm not entirely sure where this car... Oh, I see. Yeah, now I see. So it's basically you'd mount various freight and crate and all that jazz internally into this ship, and then it would sort of carry it all across for a bit. So it's like a baby cargo traveler sort of thing, which is not bad. It's not a bad starter for 10. And pretty much utilizing the Panther repeaters and nothing too fancy on that point, but you can mount equipment and all that jazz. But that's only if you want to take this thing, for a whiz in terms of fleet engagements. To be honest with you, what would be kind of an interesting challenge is if you had someone who just ran Auroras for a long time, if you could make a profit running just Auroras. I don't think you can, but I'd like to think that it was possible. And this being the last remnant of the Aurora, this is the ES, which is the most bare bones, basic bitch of the Aurora series. As you can tell, with a lacking of color, lacking of everything, it has all the basic components. This is your basic, like bare bones basic. Little baby cargo bay, and I think all of the others have their own little cargo bays. Is it really bad to say that I'm kind of only just noticed that right now? Oh my god, I've been playing this game for over 7 years. And I've only just noticed the cargo bay. I'm like, oh god, does that mean I could have just gone here with the boxes and just plopped them there? Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Oh my god, no. Okay, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I won't mention how many times I've attempted to put a box in this internal thing when I could have just put a fucking box there, but never mind. But no, that is the bare bones essential, the bare bones baby Aurora. So if you haven't really got a lot of money, but you want to get a ship, there you go. That is your entry level, and then you can sort of work on from there. So to be honest with you, it's not too bad. It looks like it's got some Tarantula Mark 1s, size 1s, so that's not bad. Tarantulas are nothing to be scoffed at, so that's not a bad thing at all. Anyway, let's make our way towards the other ship, which I do sort of know how it works in a more efficient-ish way. Well, at least I know what it can do without having spent years flying the damn thing. So, embarrassing stories aside, let's move on now to this thing, the Mantis. Now, this was unveiled a couple of years ago by RSI as a kind of big, sort of, well, potentially controversial ship. And I say potentially controversial because it hasn't really seen much extended use yet, but it's possible that in the future, when these features are more likely to be, when these features are implemented, it's going to be more of a pain in the ass to deal with. What is this thing? Well, this thing is known as an interdiction ship. Now, an interdiction ship is basically where you can interrupt someone's quantum travel and snatch them out, rendering them fairly vulnerable, at least if you're, got another ship with an EMP on board, fairly vulnerable to pirates and the like. Now, again, this ship is, when I say potentially controversial, is because when this ship was originally touted and was initially released, there was a big push for by some of the players out there because they figured it would just enable trolls and pirates to basically have a free pickings in terms of nabbing someone outside of quantuming. But at the moment, the likelihood of being able to catch people in quantum travel is fairly low. And at least from what I've seen, because I've never been interdicted by this ship. Ever. In fact, it's been a very long time since I was interdicted by anybody. So the likelihood is maybe in the future this may become a more commonplace occurrence, but for the time being, this ship is kind of one of the ships that has the ability to do something like this, and they've even put rules and safeguards in place prepared for this. But at the moment, it's not really seen enough service. So looking outside, you can notice there is the two FL-33 cannons, which kind of look like scatter guns, but I don't think it's quite like that. Anyway, let's go internally and figure out where the button is to get up. I think it's over here, yep. Press up. And in we go. So the lighting, I think, is a little bit broken. There we go. That's the lighting we're more okay with. So it's a single seat. It's a single pilot with a single single bed, maybe a few amenities, but I don't think. Yeah, there's a few living space abilities, but of nothing to be overly concerned about. There is a restroom as well, if you wish to go in this sort of environment. But again, it's fairly. Wait, I think I know what that is, and that kind of... there's a lacking of toilet paper. Oh boy, yeah, it's one of those seats. Oh, right. Just gonna close this. Anyway, so going back to the rest of the ship, you've got access to the components in here, and if I'm not mistaken, there's probably a chance you to mix with some components as well, somewhere around the back? Potentially? I can't remember, but either way, you can have access to muck around with the components. And if we go over to the pilot seat, it's a fairly large and almost a little bit wasted space for the potential, but you never know. One of the cool points about this ship is the viewing, or the view from the ship. Once again, RSI, really good at MFDs that are in your player's first sight lines, which is very nice. I need to sort of write that down so I don't forget it, because it's generally, it goes along the same lines as first sight line or sight line first or whatever, but either way. The view from the cockpit is pretty amazing. Not so great on the upward, but from down and front, it's fairly good. I mean, you could nudge the pilot a bit further forward in terms for the sides, but for the front section where you're trying to sort of interdict someone, that's completely fine. So how does one activate the interdiction? Well, you hit this button, the QED. And as you start the process, obviously we can't activate it because we're inside a area, but this opens up and this begins to generate a spherical field. And the more power you charge into it, the bigger the field gets. And then eventually, what happens is it begins to generate a power sort of surge, and then eventually, once it hits maximum capacity, you fire the QED, and then that opens up, as I said, into a spherical field which expands around. And if someone is quantum traveling in the rough area of this field, they will be pulled out of quantum and basically left sort of, beleaguered and a bit curious as to what the hell's going on. Now, here's the part where, unfortunately for you, if you're not really prepared, is where you're going to get your ass handed to. So, Cloud Imperium made it so that, or the UEE, our Navy, has made it, we'll get there eventually, that if anyone does this in an area where there's a comlink, they are instantly getting a crime stat. And I'm thinking it's more than one. So, potentially immediate hostile acts for level 2 crime stat. Then, whoever became quantum interdicted will have free reign to shoot at you and blow you up, and will even receive the praise off the UEE Navy. Like a police officer could witness you doing that and decide not to do anything for some weird reason. But let's say he's having a bit of a lazy day, and he spots someone else basically fly around, having been been interdicted, blow your ship up, kill you with a pistol in space right in front of the officer, and the officer gives him a $5 for getting rid of a bandit. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'd be a little disappointed if it was a $5, and slightly even more insulted if I was the bandit, but, work with me here. So, with that in tow, you would be, to long story short, the UEE would reward people for killing interdictors who are doing it illegally, and heavily criminalize those who are doing it illegally. And the second reason why it gets a bit bad, is because your ship becomes very low powered. You can't really do anything. Your ship is basically fired at what is roughly equivalent to an EMP, or sort of similar in regards to an EMP. And it kind of does work like an EMP, because your ship is buggered for power for a few seconds before it kind of goes back to normal. And finally, the third thing, which is more of a gameplay factor, is that this ship isn't that really maneuverable. It kind of is a ship that needs to be... it needs backup. in all aspects when it comes to being utilized. It'll need some kind of ship with an EMP device to try and fuck with the enemy, and it'll need another few ships to basically work with it to take out the target, because odds are you're not going to go for a small target, you're going to go for a big target. We're talking Hull Seas, Drake Caterpillars, Constellations. If you really want to pushing it, an Orion, you're pushing the big ships out of space so that you can go in for the haul and knock them senseless. So again, you're going to need some form of backup. Either way, the Mantis is a ship that really cannot work on its own. I attempted to fly this back on Invictus Day and promptly had my arse ripped a new one, because of just how much the AI told me to fuck off. I was going after a simple, mission to try and knock a few spacecrafts out. I didn't survive in my first wave, is how badly I lost. So, the Mantis is by no means a combat-worthy ship. It is a ship with a really good ability to cause combat, but if it is involved in combat, it merely has the ability to defend itself before being destroyed. So, don't assume you can do anything special apart from interdict people. But that's probably why this ship hasn't seen as much usage, is because it's not very suited for combat, and its role has not really entered into its full potential yet. So, for the time being, it's just unfortunately a glorified trophy piece. But it does work. It just, you'd have to be incredibly lucky, or know exactly the routes at exactly the right time, at exactly the right place, in order to figure out, to be able to nab one person who could easily just one-tap you. So, yeah, it's a bit pointless. So, here we are in the big room. This, of course, is probably the big mainstay of the RSI series, the Constellations. And today we've got 3 of them. I'd say the most commonly seen, or possibly the most commonly known constellations in the series. So, we've got the Constellation Andromeda, the Aquila, and the Phoenix. We're going to kind of do a quick tour of the Andromeda. We're going to pop in just to see what the front side of the Aquila looks like before finishing off with the tour of the Phoenix. So, these, of course, are the oldest. I'm going to throw this out there and say that these are pretty much the oldest large ships or flyable large ships in the game. These were the big ships that were toted in many trailers for Star Citizen. And when I remember seeing these for the first time, I think way back in 2012, when the Mighty Jingles was making videos about them, and how he was fascinated with what potential these particular ships would have. And I kind of feel that this ship is kind of going to be it's been a bit of a lax period where loads of other ships have been kind of chilling out and not really, where the ship hasn't really been able to do as much because of certain features not being available. And other ships which can do its role have, come and gone, whereas this ship has always been a constant. Now, with 3.12 coming, it could potentially see a resurgence if they keep, if Star Citizen brings back docking. If they keep it that way, we could still see it. So, going onto the RSI constellations, you enter into the Andromeda, and we proceed to go down and look into the first 2 turrets, of which there are 2 manned turrets, utilizing size 2 M4A cannons, which aren't too bad. They do a pretty decent, they're sort of slow firing, but they do a little bit of decent damage. And if we go onto the pilot seat, we have 4 size 5 gimbal mounts, and which are utilizing 4 size 4 Rhino repeaters, basically those Panther style repeaters. And once again, the MFDs kind of, they're all in with your first sightline radius, which is great. A little bit more dedicated for the they are a little bit more dedicated to the in terms of struts. They're a little bit further out, which is not too bad, but not too great. And as you can tell, this is one of the earlier designs for a ship's frontal view segment, because you've got, lots of panels, a little bit spaced out. I would have moved the seat a little bit further, closer to the front, but that's just my own personal preference. And you've got 2 co-pilots who I don't really know what they do, because at the moment they don't really do anything. If there were remote turrets, then that would make more sense, but I think just because it's more of the snazzy side of things, it's like, check it out, I got 3, I'm a Constellation, I got 3 seats on my pilot's bay. I think that's kind of more for the selling factor, rather than just one that controls everything, but hey-ho. So, the front of the ship, if we slowly get out now. So the viewpoint of the ship's windows are pretty damn impressive. Like, so impressive they disappear. No, they are pretty nice, and you can also do the whole sort of looking up. Oh, sorry, looking down at the Futureverse. Not as impressively easy as the Hammerheads version, but still, it's cool doing that above a planet. Something about that just seems really hilariously cool. But anyway, making our way further to the back. There used to be a functioning table here. Basically, the table would come up and you could sit down, and it would be really cool. But unfortunately, for some reason, it doesn't work anymore. You can sit over in this location, but you can't really do anything else, which is a bit of a shame. You can open the elevator now, which is great, but that doesn't do anything. So there we go. Locker rooms which have interactable lockers, so if you want to store some supplies and equipment. And, of course, the famous shit shower. So, sadly the shitter isn't here, which is a bit weird, so maybe it's in another room? Who knows? Or everyone just assumes that you just you just open up the airlock, sit awkwardly and poop it out. Anyway, so you get four beds for the crew, and make our way towards the back area. And as you can see, nice, giantly large cargo bay. Really impressive. This one can take an Ursa rover. It's one of the first few sort of functionality features, really. And this, of course, is the extra armament on the side. You've got 24 Strike Force 2s, or size 2 missiles. 24. That's bloody mental. Now, the way that this particular works as well is like 8... Yeah, so it's basically... So 4 times 24 size 2s, and then an additional 24 size 1 missiles as well. So that's a lot of armament for one ship to have. That's pretty damn impressive. And of course, you could probably customize it to have bigger but less missiles, but bigger potential. So to each your own, you can spam missiles for days in this ship, which is really nice, and have a cargo bay. And the best part is not as yet to come. This little beauty. Now this is the M50. This is the P-52 Merlin. This is the Kruger. This is the Kruger Intergalactical. I can't remember the second name. I'm just going to go with Kruger because I know it's that one. Kruger ship manufacturers, and they basically have a parasitic ship inside the RSI Constellation series. Now, for many years, unfortunately, for about 8 years, this ship has not really seen its full usage because of one particular problem: docking. Unfortunately, until, well, hopefully within the next few weeks, we'll be able to see the end of that problem and the introduction of docking, which means we can go into patch 3.12, but something tells me it's probably going to be further, where we'll finally be able to use docking as part of a big major a big thing to be able to see, because then when docking comes into its own, these Kruger ships will be able to come out and defend the Constellation series alongside all those other defensive weaponries, which could improve it could increase the cost of these ships, because at the moment you're only paying for the big ship, you're not paying for anything else for the luxuries, and it's not that expensive. The original price of this thing was considered at $225, and it's still today viable at $225. So this is taken from the website Star Citizen Tools information, and the reason why it's potentially so cheap as a ship is because it is not 100% fully functional. So this is just the Andromeda. So not bad. If you wanted to make your first ever big ship in a Star Citizen, this is the ship to do it in. So having a quick scootle bootle around, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly nip into the... Oh, God. My character's just having a panic attack now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly pop into... Oh, yeah, there's the docking collars on the side, which is the exact same for the Andromeda. But this one is the Constellation Aquila. This is the science ship, which is pretty impressive. And it's got... though it has sacrificed one of the turrets for the ability to turn into a radar, which does suck. It has a size 6 manned radar turret, which is not great, but there we go. Actually make our way up via the cargo hatch. practically the same ship, just a few functionality and features changed around. Where is the button for this thing? There we go. It doesn't work. Okay. Oh, no, it's working. Timing. Oh, that's so stupid for the timing of that. So, apart from the internals, practically the same thing. You've still got four size 5 missile racks with 24 size 2 missiles. You still got the Kruger parasitic ship in the background and all of that. The main reason why I wanted to get onto this ship, apart from losing the radar, or apart from losing the turret system, whatever, is to look at the front screen. Now, this is a much better screen. This one is not so pointed, and instead looks actually more favorable in terms of combat or in flying around. Because unlike the first one, where it had this giant strut in the front center, which could be a bit of a problem, you've instead got a more rounded display, which kind of complements the Constellation ship a lot better than the displays that we've had with the Andromeda. And unfortunately, also suffering with it is the same with the Phoenix as well. So this is a bit of a problem. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world. But I personally prefer this display, just because I feel that this kind of complements the Constellation series a lot more than, say, the more piked nose at the front sort of thing. Because with the piked nose at the front, there is a giant little strut in front of everything else, which kind of blocks the sight line. So, yeah, that's not the best of things. But regardless, it's just how the Constellations have been built. Bearing in mind this was designed eons ago. All the way back down. They've done some optimizations and updates, but the design hasn't really changed too much there. So now we're going to make our way towards the Constellation Phoenix, the more luxurious side. Basically, RSI's attempt at becoming a little bit Origin jump worksy. So once again, you enter into it, and it's fairly similar points. You've got sort of semi-snazzy, or semi, it's fairly utilitarian, slightly more dressed up seat. Maybe slightly snazzier looking beds, but nothing too impressive for the crew. But then when you get into the other room, oh my. Ooh, I like that. I like that lighting more, to be honest with you. Oh my. Yes, you're treated to an immensely more posh environment. And as you open up the door, open the door there, and oh dear, it looked like, yes, and there you go. You've got your nice little display of fish and display of little things. A tiny, very barren room, but you're not really staying in this room. You're just chilling. You're just minding your own business. I wouldn't be caught now. Let's go back to normal. So you'll be in a very nice room where the fish will die, unfortunately. I'm not much of a fish owner, but I can't see any ways for you to feed the fish. So unless there's those little port things, basically scoop up the dead fish and put some new ones in, I don't think you're going to be seeing any new fish or any life in that thing anytime soon. You got yourself a nice TV over there. Truth be told, I would have gotten rid of that because I would feel really uncomfortable putting my head to sleep above a fish tank. Just call me... That just sounds just... No, I don't think that's a good idea. I would be worried about that. So anyway, moving on, you have another room, similarly designed. A bit cramped, but... Oh god, it's all smoking here as well. Jeez. It's the weed room. But anyway, the main sort of winning part of this ship is this room here. It's a very large, for some reason, very smoky room. And it is more of a luxury transport. Like, this is the kind of ship that you would travel in. Ooh, cards. Oh, looks nice. Texture glitched cards, but what's okay. You go into this sort of bar area, and I think the ship is more designed as kind of a luxurious transport, not a ship that you kind of sleep and stay in. So nice, very nice sort of carpets. You've got a lovely laminate floor with a bunch of sort of semi nice looking textures. I'm not entirely sure why you want to have broken wood panels going into the thing, but something tells me there were more to be. It was more intended for this to be there and for that to be wooden flooring, but I think something went a bit slightly wrong. Again, don't forget, display model. There's like a meeting. That's supposed to be a meeting table with a whole bunch of other chairs about. This is also available to view on Lorville in Hurston. In Lorville on Hurston, and there is a destroyed constellation series inside a not exactly the most riveting thing, considering that's the Phoenix variant as well. So I'm not entirely sure what you want to be doing, trying to say, hey, look at the ship that's destroyed that you're flying in. But this does have the working pool version. This has a little spa little thing which opens up and closes. Hang on, could I close it? Because normally this doesn't work in the other version. I haven't seen this in absolutely bloody ages. But that's basically a baby jacuzzi. And I'm thinking some kind of sheen or protective thing will come up. Similar to this. You can't really see what's going on. Now you can. Nice two-tone mirrors, which is pretty cool. And there's, of course, where the captain or the master bedroom would be kept. There's the jacuzzi for anyone who wants to have a jacuzzi. And further back into the further out into the rear, you open up. There's a bunch of components and other stuff. And therein is the snazzier version of the Kruger, which is the P-72 Archimedes, which is the sort of the nicer version of the thing. You have access to the power plant, the gravitational generator, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a little hatch somewhere around here where you can enter into a little compartment. Ah, here it is. Whereabouts? There's like a component somewhere. Like there was a component which allowed you to sort of get into the I think somewhere around here. I can't quite remember, but there was a little thing that allowed you to basically go into the undercurrent area. I'm gonna open this up again. No. Ah, there it is. There we go. So this is the cargo bay. Nothing too impressive, but if you were storing luggages and other jazz, you can do so. Or if you're planning on smuggling yourself in and then launching a takeover of the ship, this is also a good place to go from. So again, nothing too fancy, but nothing too bad. Why have I got a hit marker in porn? I don't know. But anyway, so therein is the Constellation series. A traditional and large ship. Traditionally the larger ship and the sort of the big ship of Star Citizen. Way back when this ship was first, when Star Citizen was a new ship and a new game, this was the big ship of that game. This was the big expensive one. This was the one which had all the snazzy features, all the big sort of concepts. And while I think in comparison to many other ships now, it'll probably struggle for dominance. Wow, that hairdo. It will certainly it certainly can still make its mark, especially since it has one of the only few one of the few ships out there with its own parasitic fighter attached to it. And when docking becomes a thing in Star Citizen, this ship will probably see a bit of a resurgence and a price increase because its usability will go up by quite a dramatic way. And I'm hoping they do come back into their form because it is a classic ship. I'm not a huge fan of the design of the landing gear and everything else, and they are the easiest ships to blow up. I mean, seriously, I'm just going to take you quickly back up there. The best way to knock out a Constellation ship is to aim for the engines. Not only do you kill the firepower from the front, you also neutralize its means of propulsion. So it's a bit vulnerable, but it's still a very good ship. And you do see occasionally these being used by pirates. So it's a lot of fun to blow up and a lot of fun to fly with. So, yeah, overall, a good series of ships to work with. They just need to get the docking stuff fixed and everything else will be fine. So, as we make our way across towards the holodecks, we are greeted with the sight of two of the Ursa rovers. Now, the Ursa, I call it the rover, but really it's just the Ursa. The Ursa is a classic RSI design for ground vehicle transportation. It can house up to 4 soldiers sitting in the back and two pilots at the front. We have, and in BSI we do use these for, I mean, it's honestly they're the only ground transportation vehicles at the moment that can transport multiple people, so, you know, everyone uses them. But you can fit a couple other dudes in as well. And they are actually pretty good transportation vehicles for ground combat. They have 6 wheels, they handle pretty well, they go pretty fast as well, and they've got 2 size 1 laser repeaters. The cool thing when it comes to driving these things, if you hop into it, there you go, this vehicle has the opportunity for a gunner to sit on the right, or a pilot to, well, the driver, to sit in and use the guns as well. And if you have a track IR enabled, which is a useful feature, this actually has a working UI as well. So you can drive around and do whatever. You can actually enter the remote turret if you want to see it from this perspective, which is pretty cool. It almost looks like the UI of a planet. But you can also look from the... just kicked me out. You can also utilize the track IR to basically wherever you look, the guns look, which is kind of similar to the Apache helicopter nowadays. So that's a pretty funky feature. But in terms of usability, it's a really good ground transport for lightning fast missions. If you want to roll into combat, drop this thing off, and then get in and out without requiring a ship, this will do you. It's a very good vehicle, and it's kind of one of those things that you kind of need to have if you're going to be operating in multiple crews of people. Its lack of a larger crew size, or lack of larger passenger size, is a bit of a downside. But apart from that, it's a pretty damn good car. I like it. I think it's the only car available at the moment, so it's kind of got the king spot. But when other ships / other vehicles begin to make their mark on the ground, I mean, don't forget, we've got the Nova tank incoming at some point. They've just put it into grey boxing. We're going to be seeing a lot more, hopefully, in the future of varieties to choose from. But for the time being, this is the dominant ground vehicle, and it'll probably be here for many years to come. So, as we make our way towards the last of the RSI's lineup, we are approaching the holodecks with a variety of different ship features. Now, the first we'll show is because this one's the least surprising, but kind of disappointing, I won't lie, which of course is the Constellation Taurus. Now, I was really hoping that they would be showcasing the Orion in a holodeck form, but unfortunately, all we've gotten is the Constellation Taurus, which is... Well, as said, this is it's just a constellation. They've got the Aquila's frontal section, which is nice. It's got 2 manned turrets, and the big selling point of the Taurus is that it's got a much larger cargo bay than other variants. And some of the other features that it's listed here is that it has a large, as I said, massive large cargo bay, the ability to quickly eject said cargo bay in case something goes wrong, and apparently it's got a security hold with double planing, which basically means it will, it basically can hide its gear, so it's going to be quite good for smuggling. But apart from that, this is pretty much all that's there for the Constellation series, so not really that impressive. There is another ship being made by RSI known as the Orion, which is, in comparison, vastly superior. You have got the Orion, sorry, RSI Orion, which is a mining ship, which has the ability to launch drones to mine, and it has its own refinery, which means instead of having to go to a dedicated refinery sector, make the refinery requirements, request a refinery, spend X amount of time waiting, whilst paying a large amount of money for it, and then doing whatever, you can basically mine the materials yourself, refine them yourself, and then sell them for a higher profit. So it's a fairly big ship as well. So in terms of of cost and other stuff, it's well worth it, and it looks really cool. And I was really hoping to see that ship being made available in the holodecks, but unfortunately, that's not quite likely to happen now. Well, at all, because instead we got the Constellation Taurus. So a bit of a shame, a bit of a missed opportunity in Cloud Imperium's side of things, because I think if they'd showcased the Orion, that would have been really cool. But unfortunately, they didn't, so here we are. Moving on to the other ship available, this is the Polaris, and as you can see, the grey boxing has been more or less finished, I think, or I guess. No, there's a few things still here and there for textures, but the texturing is a lot better. This is basically a Corvette class ship with a kind of, it's more of a patrolling ship, it's not really designed to do any serious fighting. As you can see, there isn't really that many weapons on it, it's just kind of there. It's got turrets, and it's got missiles, it's got like missiles and torpedo launchers, but it's a Corvette. It's nothing special, he says, but it's a capital ship, and not many of them are available at the moment, but this is the kind of ship that's, it looks kind of impressive. but it doesn't have that much of a staying power. And there's a ship which is currently being touted. RSI have only just teased this, but it's already getting more hype, and I fear that this thing will be kind of left to the shadow. It's going to be left a little bit in terms of shadow, but still, not bad. Looks pretty cool. And I think they unveiled this, at least I think for the first time back in Invictus Day. So hopefully sometime, maybe in Invictus Day next year, we might be able to see it in verse. Maybe. Maybe, if we're lucky. I'd hope so. So, yeah, this one was introduced about 4 years ago, in terms of 2016. Like, it's a concept ship, but then now it's finally being sent into the verse. So hopefully we'll see a whole bunch of ships. And again, the big thing that kind of stops these ships from coming in, docking. Exactly. So, yeah, not 100% happy about seeing these in grey boxes still, but, you know, this one's pretty good regardless. So, here's hoping, touch wood, we'll see it fairly soon. So now let us make our way to the stage for the latest unveiling and the potential to be a very, very popular ship. I fucking knew it. And this is admittedly a variety of different kind of things, but sorry, I'm just looking at the Star Citizen tools. So whatever I talk about, take with a pinch of salt because this ship hasn't been released yet. It's still in development, so there's a bunch of features which may or may not be included, but I'm going to list them as I read them from the thing, and I'm even going to go as far as linking this in the description to just prove that I am not making this shit up. This is the Perseus. This very lovely looking ship is made by It was RSI's latest addition to the verse, and this is the first time I've ever seen this ship. And oh my, she looks nice. It's like the Star Destroyer. It's a Star Destroyer. It's a baby Star Destroyer, but it's a Star Destroyer. And it looks menacing. It's basically, its role is listed as anti-capital, though it kind of feels more like a gunboat. It's also listed as apparently one size 5 launch bay somewhere. Again, it could be, I think I see it. I think I actually see it. This is potentially the launch bay, I think. Hang on, let me just double... Unfortunately, you can't really see lights. Unfortunately, or at least you can't really see that... Yeah, you can't really see the... No, you can't. Okay, so going from a guess, I would say if we were going to have a torpedo bay, this might be it. This might be it. I think this could be it. I could be wrong. Or is it above? Well, if it's got one size 5 torpedoes and it's got 20 size 5 torpedoes. I was thinking either size 9s or size 5s, but I'm thinking, as it says there, size 5. So yeah, potentially, finger quote, it's got 20 size 5 torpedoes, which makes sense because its main strength is the 2 size 7s located on the front there, which looks really fucking nice, I won't lie. You've also got 2 turrets for utilizing size 3s, one above and one below, which is pretty damn impressive looking, that's for sure. The rear of the ship looks absolutely stunning. I love it. It looks really nice. I like this ship. If I was to have a capital, this is probably going to be my first capital ship. Technically, I've had a capital ship in the form of the Carrack, but I've never really considered it a capital ship. It's more like a glorified transport, maybe a bigger bulk. Like it's like a lorry, but not a frigate. It's not a capital ship. This is a capital ship. And I'm not gonna lie. Now that potentially she could have size 5 torpedoes, is a big turn on for me. Because there's nothing more awesome than having the ability to dakka someone with giant guns and also spit torpedoes at them. And that just looks like the size 7 turrets on the bottom. God, can you imagine 2 of the... Oh no, I'm wrong. That is right, that is 2. What? I have to really be quiet because I can't make too much noise, but oh my god. If this is live, if this is what comes out when they release the ship, oh, I think I found a new bay. Oh my god. 2 size 7s. Are you shitting me? That is really cool. I can't squeak with excitement, but I am kind of wanting to squeak with excitement. God damn my current situation right now. I want to scream with excitement because it looks so cool. Okay, calm down, Mr. Jaeger. Okay. Contained. Very much brutally, but contained. So, there's the size 3s. So, where's the other one? It's at the bottom. Oh, no, it's at the back. So, it's the size 7. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, no, this ship I'm liking. I do like this ship. I will have to relent because I have already spent a shit ton of money at this event, but I'm not going to lie. Next time this ship comes up, I might cry and grab one. It's just really gutting because I looked at it on bloody thing and it was still available for sale. It's probably sold out by now, but yeah, that's really cool. I like this ship. I like this ship a lot. So yeah, the Perseus. It is a new. I like this ship. It looks really cool. I want to see the ship in game though. Actually, to be honest with you, that's a good point. I want to see the ship in game before we make any major contributions. Because the issue is right now, there's not enough players in the servers to really make this ship worth a while. You know, because if in order to have this ship, you'll need at least about. It says a crew of 6. Really, 6 people. I'm not going to say anything. But no, I will say, a crew of 6 is pretty cool. But we could do with more. Like, the thing is, more players available would still be nice. Yeah, sure, you have 6, so this is a pretty nice feature. Maybe more required. But, yeah. There needs to be more players available so that we can really see this game go into its full spectrum for it. Like, if instead of having 50, it can have 100. That'll probably make it a little bit more laggy, but it'll be really damn good. But, yeah, that's really fantastic. Oh, look, there's a little docking collar location. Oh my god, if you can judge it from that. God, if that's the door that you get into and the rest of this thing is like this. Oh boy. Woo, it's getting a bit warm in here. Oh my god. Well, anyway, guys, yeah, we're going to wrap things up here. So that was the Perseus, and that was RSI Day for the IAE. A bit of a quietish day, nothing overly dramatic, with the exception of that Perseus ship, which is now my new bay, or at least my new capital ship bay. And yeah, I feel sorry for the Polaris. She's going to get ignored. Like, the Polaris will come out maybe a few months before the Perseus, but literally everyone will buy the Polaris because then they can work to the Perseus, or they'll get the Polaris as a substitute for the Perseus. So that ship will just be forever the little baby ship with you. But well, no, the Polaris does have some pretty dope things. It's got some size 10 torpedo launchers, so it can duke it out. It just doesn't have the dakka of the Perseus. So yeah, it's got its own little middle finger ability. So don't worry about that. It's actually more expensive than the in terms of the war bond, but an original. So technically, I could upgrade from my A2. Hercules, or the Hercules A2 to the Polaris, but I probably won't because it's not a Perseus, but still, it's pretty much there it is. So anyway, yes, that is RSI Day. I hope you have enjoyed. It's been a bit of a mixed feelings day. I like what they've done. I mean, unfortunately, RSI have not got a huge amount of ships. Of course, the Constellation series is their mainstay. There's a few of their other stuff, but a lot of people don't fly these anymore. Maybe some of the baby starter players who start out, which is not a bad thing. Playing around with the Aurora is not a bad thing. But again, they aren't as common because there are other ships which give you a much better starting ground, which are slightly more expensive, but they do give you the ability to really enjoy yourself. The Constellation series, of course, is famous, but again, there are ships that do their role and better at the moment. But when docking becomes a feature, I reckon these ships will see a bit of a revival and a resurgence, not just because that now they can dock and utilize the Krugers, but also because some of the features that they have may actually be more benefiting from docking, including, for example, the Constellation Taurus, and of course, the big baby of the day, the Perseus and the Polaris. I'm going to make a special highlight shout out for the Perseus. Perseus has done some pretty damn good stuff, so he is hoping that the Perseus and the Polaris will be able to be a great number 1-2 combo. And that is day 9, apparently, of 10. So technically tomorrow's day, will be an interesting thing, to say the least. I don't know what's going to happen. We could see just one last day where everything's available and it's all funky and all that jazz, or it's going to be one of those sort of things where it's a bit mixed to a bag. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the following day for potentially the Epileague. So thank you once more, and if you like this kind of content, let me know in the comment section down below, clicking on the like button, and of course subscribing to the channel. And I hope to see you in tomorrow's episode. And once again, little side note, thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate that this, along with the other 2 episodes, is kind of coming in a bit later than everything else. But yeah, I wasn't really satisfied with either of the Alien episode was bad, and of course we've done with Origin Jumpworks Day happening the following day. Kind of everything kind of came to a head. So thank you very much for your support, guys. Let me know how you feel about this again once in the comment section, subscribing and liking, and I will see you then. This is Mr. Jaeger signing out.